It's the Christmas season, the time of year when excessive consumerism is a norm and we spend our hard-earned cash on things for people we barely know. Like Bluey toys. They were last year's bestseller thanks to the success of the show, and are now back for a round 2 with even more options in playsets, plush, clothing, and more. Or how about the Mr. Beast Lab range of toys, made by YouTube's biggest content creator to cash in on the holiday craze? And these are just a few things I've curated for you. We've got stocking stuffers like Miniverse and Beyblades, to some of the biggest of gifts, like this plush octopus that's retailing for over $1,000. So you'll want to stick around to see what I've got in store for you. And now, without further ado, let's get into the first category. Bitsies are back again this year, but now in both a magical and a Disney theme, with the Disney version being the more expensive of the two. Just as a heads up, the price in the bottom left corner I'll be putting is actually in Canadian plastic money, because I live in a land with an excessive maple syrup intake, and I'm too lazy to try to get a VPN to work just so I can find out what the US prices are, so just keep that in mind. Continuing on, Hello Kitty has made a big comeback on store shelves, though that might be because it's their 50th anniversary. Playmobil is always a great choice. The school bus is an absolute staple toy item, though you can also get real licensed vehicles if you have the budget. The Cookies Makery is a fun little toy in which you create your own mystery food plush. I myself would like to buy some of these at some point in the future, as I'm curious to how it works myself. Star Wars Droidables seem like a fun idea. If you're looking for something on the more classic side though, Calico Critters make for a great option. And Nerf is always great for instilling American patriotism at a young age. If card games are something you're looking for, then you might want to look into Exploding Kittens. Yes, it's not as new as it was a few years ago, but there are many expansions for the game that have been dropped recently, and the creators have a bunch of other extremely good card and board games to check out. On a similar note, Squishmallows continue to be popular. I personally highly recommend the Sonic plushes. Also, Choco Cat is way better than Tuxedo Sam. You cannot change my mind. Peppa Pig playsets definitely exist. I'm really bringing this up because I just think their cars look goofy, and I like that. The Super Kiddies toys are another good option, though the show they're from is clearly Disney trying to copy Paw Patrol's success. Speaking of which, Paw Patrol still has plenty of toy options to choose from. Little Tyke's Let's Go Cozy Coop toys, another thing I know nothing about, I just think it's really funny. I blame the Brick Rigs community for this. I highly recommend the B Toys Hello Phone because it looks like my 1999 Motorola StarTAC. The nostalgia goes hard. The Avengers Hulk Gamma Smash Fists is great if you like Avengers, and I also have the silly image of Mr. Beast cardboard cutout wearing a pair of them, so that's probably the reason why I'm actually mentioning it. Jumanji is definitely in the board game classics category, however I'm bringing it up specifically because now it's a Walmart exclusive, which I find interesting to say the least. Also on a similar note, is that the Monopoly Go board game is a thing now, which is weird because it's based on the Monopoly Go app game, which is in turn based off the original Monopoly. I can't be the only one who finds this rather odd. And last thing in this category, the top seller of the year. Anything Miss Rachel is selling like crazy, as apparently parents are starting to realize that Cocomelon, which stores are struggling to sell now by the way, is giving kids brain damage and are swapping over to the much better Miss Rachel. Much like anything Bluey that would instantly sell out last year, Miss Rachel is leaving lines outside stores for anything to do with the brand, and sells out within hours. But enough about that stuff. Let's move on to talking about the small loot. Right out the gate, I'm mentioning Hot Wheels, because I have more of this stuff than I know what to do with, so I can highly recommend. If you're looking for something a bit more unique than the mainline models though, the Car Culture World Tour cars have begun to appear throughout stores, and I also utmost recommend the new Pop Culture Action Comics #1 Superman cover car, a really nice model. Also, Matchbox gets a mention because I actually think it's superior to Hot Wheels because their cars are more real. Though, now I'm going to have to deal with the Hot Wheels enthusiasts never talking to me ever again for saying that. Fat Wheels seems neat enough. However, I'm not going to look into the show because that's probably another rabbit hole that I don't want to be falling into right now. Mini Brands is a great line of mini collectibles with some neat licensed brands. Best we can get until Moose Toys revives Shopkins at least. Something quite similar, but a craft this time. With Miniverse, you get to prepare the mini food and items yourself. Pokemon. Ah yes, the giant of the collectible trading cards. If you don't know what to buy for a kid, or anybody really, I can guarantee they won't be returning this gift. No really, it's a non-refundable item. Lorcana cards, because Disney can't make anything original anymore. A really cool free thing that you can give this year is actually a subscribe to the channel and a like, as it's one of those small things that can really make a big difference. Anyway, Robo-Alive Robo-Boats are a neat, fairly new item, and quite fun to mess around with. Tonka Chuck is back for some reason. Hasbro, it's no longer 2010! Beyblade X brings Beyblades back into the spotlight, though I can't say for certain whether or not they create the sparks and contact, as they did a long time ago. I don't know how long ago, I'm not very much of a Beyblade guy. I didn't grow up with them personally. Goo-Jitsu is currently really popular, and every time I look the designs change, which is always a great thing to see. The ultimate version of Uno has also finally appeared. Uno Show 'em No Mercy is truly the Uno of all time. Kinetic Sand is still good, just make sure you don't have carpet. Fingerlings are creepy and I'll leave it at that. Magic Mixies Minis are not Shopkins. Tech Deck is still a classic. Lost Kitties have been killed off, which greatly upsets me, so there's no chance of finding those anywhere. The Mr. Beast Lab Swarms make for a decent stocking stuffer. I mean, they're the closest we can get to having Trash Pack or Grocery Gang back. And lastly, on the note of Mr. Beast stuff, if you like giving out candy bars on Christmas, you could hypothetically use a Feastables, though I'm just going to say that Hershey's Cookies and Cream is a lot cheaper. You know, just saying. Now we're getting into the big stuff. Starting off with one of the biggest items, the Jellycat Giant Odell Octopus is a crazy 1,040 Canadian Tire dollars, which is just insane for a plush octopus. Yes, it's a Jellycat and they have to overprice their things because they're Jellycat, but you are insane if you think spending $1,000 on a plush octopus is a wise idea. Do you know how many Hot Wheels and Hershey's bars I could buy with that kind of money? Little live pets continue to be popular, but that doesn't stop me from finding the concept of the Mama Surprise to be weird at best. Doesn't stop them from selling like crazy though. The Barbie movie RC Corvette is just overall really cool in my opinion. A great buy. Though I feel like Barbie Dream House continues to look worse with every redesign. Crazy Forts are a great option, though I might be slightly biased on this as I played a lot of Bridge Constructor and World of Goo back in the good old days. Play-Doh Pizza Delivery Scooter. I just find this to be funny, and I want to see somebody put a motor in one. Our Generations dolls are a good classic choice, and their food trucks are comically tall. What a bonus! Furby. No. Go back to 1998 where you came from. The Hot Wheels City Ultimate Hauler makes for a nice storage case, though I'm mainly recommending it because they made a mainline diecast of it, and I find that hilarious. Also in the Hot Wheels category, the Mario Kart Rainbow Road set seems to be on sale at a lot of places, so now would be a good time to pick one up if you haven't already. Tonka hasn't changed since the mid-2000s. I'm not one to say if that's a good thing or not. Chevrolet Silverado 12 volt.
Brand new Silverado for only $595.95, $55.99.
And lastly, Tony's continue to be extremely popular, though I feel like it's just trying to emulate what CD players did but worse. But now, I'm certain you're wondering, where's Lego? Ha! Well... I was initially going to just mix this in with everything else, but then I realized there's a ton to cover, so I'm making it its own section. Just gotta quickly do the mandatory recommend every Sonic Lego, and done. Now first up we've got Lego City, more specifically sets 60407 double-decker sightseeing bus. My best friend Ray got me one of these for my last birthday, and I can highly recommend it. And I also recommend the 60408 car transporter, as it's a solid set with that absolutely radical hot rod. Well, technically a lead sled slash custom with a K, but I can't expect everybody here to be a car nerd like myself. Also in the city theme, 60421, yeah, I know these numbers are going to get annoying soon, I'm probably going to drop them. Robot World is secretly chock full of references to other LEGO themes like Bionicle and Alien Conquest. So if you like throwbacks to older themes, make sure you check out that. And also notable is that Johnny Thunder is back in the city jungle theme, another cool throwback. Can we get Chase McCain next though, LEGO? Creator finally has a really nice house once again with the 31153 modern house. Probably one of, if not the coolest set of the year. Batman the Classic TV series Batmobile released not too long ago. Definitely my personal collector pick of the year. There's some Minions sets because Minions. There's also a bunch of Disney sets and I'm going to ignore them all. Oh, and the Battle Bus. Highly recommend this one. Just be warned though, it's a LEGO store / online exclusive, so unless you have a LEGO store near you that has them in stock, have fun trying to get one of these in time for Christmas because the next ones don't ship for the next 60 days. LEGO Friends has been doing pretty well for itself. I'd say the standout set is 42620 Ollie and Paisley's family houses because you can never have enough LEGO houses. However, I cannot recommend Gabby's dollhouse until they finally give us Cat Rat. Give us our favorite anti-hero cat. Come on, LEGO. There's also Gandalf's car from Harry Potter. That's pretty cool. Speed Champions lineup is alright, though there's no Renault Twingo yet, and I find that fairly disappointing. And lastly, the LEGO Technic theme has 2 colors of Koenigsegg Jesko to choose from, though if you want to buy the real stuff, there's a huge McLaren P1 available. Though, it does come with a pretty hefty price tag, so be warned. Now you see, I told you there was a lot of LEGO. No, not the board games, we're talking video games, because Game Passes and V-Bucks are not real gifts and nobody can change my mind on that. To start things off with, if you personally know one of the 2 people who owns a PS5, then make sure you get them Astrobot if said person doesn't already have it, as it's probably the game of the year, honestly. Next up, we've got Matchbox Driving Adventures. Alright game, though this is actually secretly a plug for a review I did on it about a month or 2 back. Moving Out is an underrated gem. Just beware of Moving Out 2 because that's a completely different rabbit hole that I'm not going to go into today. Wobbly Life is almost out of early access, so if you like Steam games, this is the perfect chill, do whatever game for any age. Holy Bridge 3, I hope you're an architect with an engineering degree if you buy this. I'm also qualified to recommend Brick Rigs because I've dunked a good portion of my own life into this game without regretting it somehow. Farming Simulator 2025 just dropped. I hear it still has quite a few bugs that need to be patched, but I also hear it now has tornadoes. So, I don't know, seems like a fair enough trade-off in my opinion. Sonic games. Gotta recommend them. Apparently Sonic X Shadow Generations released not too long ago, so that's important. Drive Rally. As a Drive fan, Number Drive? Hashtag Drive? I'm gonna call it Number Drive, as that's how I've been calling it since forever. I'm legally obligated to recommend it. And to finish things up, Parking Garage Rally Circuit is peak late 90s nostalgia and has one of the greatest soundtracks of all time, in my opinion. I'm sure there are other things that I could recommend, but either I don't play those kind of games, or they just released as buggy messes that haven't been cleaned up yet. Honestly, this year has not been great for gamers as a whole. I'm a bit of a book nerd myself, so here's some of the best books for the year. First off, a classic mention. A child's life is wasted if they don't get a chance to read Mike Mulligan and More, an underrated classic. Another under-the-radar gem, Agent 9. This is such a gem of a comic book. There were only 2 made in this series before the publisher pulled the plug on it, but I can tell you this was undoubtedly a passion project with the hopes to one day become a full-out show. James Burks is a legend and should be known as such. He's also apparently working on an animation for the Bird and Squirrel book series, so, keep an eye out for that. Another 2 book series, Trouble Town is a great series created by the legend himself, Stefan Pastis. Absolute modern classic. Just please note, the story is constantly descending into chaos, which is why I like it so much. Anyway, moving on, there's the Lanky Box comic. Ew, no. I've read the ingredients on soap containers that had more coherent plots than this. FGTV comics, on the other hand, actually really decent. Those ones I'll highly recommend. Definitely worth your time. The Warriors series is really good. For those who don't know the story, basically cats that you really like live out in the wild and die, in a nutshell. Has a really loyal fan base though, so they must be doing something right. I also recommend the Braveland series, made by the same creators. And lastly, Murray and Bunn. Books have peaked with Murray and Bunn. This is what Aristotle wishes he had to read. If Matt Patton knew about this series, he'd come out of retirement. It's greater than Robin Hood, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Lord of the Rings, and Richard Scarry's Busy Town combined. Clearly, nothing else tops this. Well, except Agent 9. And now we're on to the lastest stuff. Lastest is not a word, but I'm using it, so it is now. The collectibles and kids at heart stuff. There's Little People, which I know you're wondering why it's here. Well, I put it here because I know it's not the kids who want Ted Lasso figures. I mean, I don't know what the show's about, never watched it, but I'm fairly certain it's not aimed at toddlers. Nerf Gelfire is great if you want to find out ways to get arrested. There's also a Nerf Gelfire Mr. Beast edition. Like, no. Crossley record players are neat, and I find it funny that they have the exact same name as a British car company from the early 20th century. Electric scooters are great if you have deep pockets. I'm personally a Segway fan myself, though I hear that Highboy is really decent. Or maybe I'm just biased because they're a Canadian company, which there's definitely a possibility that that's the case. The Steam Deck OLED Limited Edition White could have technically gone in the games category, though it's made for more of those people who'd collect these things simply to watch the secondhand market price constantly go on an uphill rise. Automatons are funny instrument things from Japan that have been getting rather quite popular lately, probably because the one YouTube guy did the Whopper ad using one. The 4x4 Rubik's Cube is great if you like watching people struggle. Likely the same can be said for the 5x5, though I haven't personally tried out one of those myself. Maybe it's super easy, I don't know. The SpongeBob SquarePants Best 300 Episodes DVD box set came out earlier this year, and is peak Gen Z nostalgia. I want one of these myself. And last but not least, there's the Chia Pet Homer Simpson hedge based off of the one iconic meme, an absolutely legendary ending. And that has been everything. Obviously, there's a ton of things that I missed. Some of it's intentional, simply because it's been around for way too long, or something that has too many variations like t-shirts and mugs. But still feel free to let me know what things I may have left out in the comments. I hope you found at least one thing you maybe didn't know about. And if you made it to this far, congrats! You're the champion. 2 Hershey's bars for ya. I intend to make this a yearly tradition of mine. Next year I'm definitely getting it out in better timing though, as this is probably already a bit late at this point, but whatever. Is there anything I can finish this off with? Murray and Bunn is best book, okay.